All right, welcome to Super Bowl Radio Row in New Orleans, Super Bowl 59, Eagles, Chiefs, talking ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network, brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, Estate 98 Coffee, Sal Loretta for Men, Luxury, Menswear and Tailoring in Bergen County, New Jersey. Gets me right for the Super Bowl, gets me right for the walk-ins at the games, and also by My Bookie Sportsbook. And what am I talking about my fit for when you came correct today to Radio Row? He is the man, the myth, Dr. Anthony Blevins, NFL coach, soon-to-be media star, rising media star. Thank you so much for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Where did you get this? Where did you come up with the idea for this? Like you are the best dressed man on Radio Row today.
Man, it was all about for me here to stand out, not blend in. So the purple definitely does it. It blends in with the city. So
Yeah.
It's all a theme. It's all been coordinated.
It's got some New Orleans flair to it. That's a good point. Yeah. So what is it like for you right now doing the media stuff? Because obviously you're a coach by trade, played as well. What has it been like working Radio Row and getting into like the podcasting and television world?
It's been different because it's a totally different world than what I come up with. Coming up and coaching, avoid the cameras, don't say this, don't say that. Now I'm free to say whatever I want to, you know what I mean? Like, you can cuss if you want to, keep it clean if you want to. So it's a whole different world for me, but it's been good. But I tell you what, people that talk about it, it's more challenging than what you're thinking. Trying to talk live, broadcast the game, it's more challenging. And I'll give you a story. I did a game New Albany and Stony Brook a few months back.
Wow.
Up in Long Island. And it's my first time being in the booth live. And you got people talking to you, you're trying to talk. It got to a point like people do not talk to me. If I'm talking, don't talk to me. Like you wave at me, flag me down, something, but do not talk to me. I'm not a pro yet. You know what I mean? I can't do talking and listening at the same time. I'm not that skilled.
It's always fascinating to me to watch the guys on the broadcast, the analysts, where play-by-play guy does the play, and then the analyst has to break down the play, let's say, in 7 seconds. And it's like you need to describe it to the public, but you need to get out of the point almost right as you started. It is really remarkable. It's a skill like anything else, but I'm sure there are things you probably learned in working with players and then having been a player yourself, watching coaches of like how to work a room. What things do you take from like the football coaching side of it in order to like communicate your message on something like this?
Honestly, to me, it was kind of the same thing. It's like coming in after practice, watching tape, or coming in on the Monday after the game, and you just break it down. Quick points, you got to be quick to the point, and then you got to move on because you only have a limited time in coaching. You have a meeting time where guys have got to stay on schedule. So you got to kind of do the same thing within the media space. You got to make your point, and then, like you said, boom, get out.
Right. So speaking of players, Saquon Barkley, a young man you know very well, is starring. He's in this big game for the rival Philadelphia Eagles for all the Giants fans back home. Blev, what is it like for you to see what has happened in this last year with him, where he has left New York, gone to Philly, and exploded like a superman?
First of all, let me say, I'm a Saquon fan. I'm just like anybody else. I'm a Saquon fan. I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love him for who he is as a football player, but also for who he is as a person. Him going to Philly, the year he's had I think the 8th best rushing season in NFL history. That would not have happened in New York. The pieces were not in place. He goes to Philly behind that O-line, and they've kind of catered to him. You kind of see how they started the season to how they've ended. Like, he's Mr. Everything for that one. How he goes is how they go. Him, and they've got weapons on the outside, too, that can beat you. So if you go to the box with him and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they can beat you on the outside. I think they're a really good offense, and they're really hard to stop. And that's why, people, it's like pick your poison.
Yeah.
Are we going to stop the run game? Or are we going to stop the pass game? You got to stop something. But the other one's going to get you.
No doubt. And so, having coached on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL, Cardinals, Giants, how do you feel the Chiefs are equipped to handle the Barkley, Hurts, dual threat Eagles offense? Like, Is this as good of a Chiefs defense as what Spags had last year? Maybe not, but it's Chris Jones, it's Nick Bolton, it's his playmakers. Do you think they have some X factors back there to slow down an Eagles team that put up 55 points against Washington?
I'll tell you this, I do. To answer your question, I do. I think they've got an excellent coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo, from Giants, who's probably the most decorated coordinator assistant in NFL history. So he's going to have a plan. I mean, he does an excellent job of schematics and putting his players in the right places to make plays. So I do think that this game's going to be low scoring. When I say low scoring, I think it's going to be 24 or 20, somewhere in there. I don't think it'll be the Super Bowl that we had a couple years ago. These two teams matched
38, 35. Yeah, right.
I don't see that. Because you're talking about the number one, number two ranked defenses in this game.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be low scoring. And to answer your question, I do think that Kansas City, I think this may be one of the better Kansas City defenses that they've had. You know, Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they get a lot of credit. They won a lot of games defensively this year.
No doubt. Aaron Schatz of FTN Fantasy earlier dropped a stat or a fact on me that I found very interesting. I want to ask you. So Jalen Hurts struggles against cover 3, according to what Aaron is saying. But the Chiefs never play cover 3 under Spags. So the question is, how likely or unlikely do you think it would be for a coordinator like Spags to come into a game like this and say, okay, we never play cover 3 as the Chiefs, but it's what this quarterback struggles with, so we're going to play it all game. Like, is that something you think would happen, or would that be too unusual for a coach to put into?
I don't think it's unusual because cover 3 is a base defense. You've been playing cover 3 since high school, since junior. So I don't think it's unusual. What's unusual is how much will you run? Will you run it a lot? Will you run it a little? Situationally, I think that's the question that you have to ask. I do expect to probably see some zone because I playing against Jalen when he was younger in his career. I mean, very young.
Yeah.
You know, we played him. I can't remember the year offhand, but we beat him 13-7 in the Meadowlands in Metro. And all we did was play zone. We didn't play zone. We played a little bit of cover 1, played a little bit of cover 3, and we just kind of kept mixing back and forth. So I do think you probably will see a little bit of cover 3. It's just a matter of how much cover 3 is. But it goes against Spags' nature. Spags is a pressure guy. He likes to get after the quarterback. But if they can rush the quarterback with 4 guys and get pressure and get consistent pressure, why not? Why not mix it in there?
Interesting. Okay, so to flip back to New York for a second, Market, the team you know well, the big talking point with the Giants, the one that adds a little bit of hope to the conversation is what should they do with the number 3 overall pick? Some consider it a foregone conclusion. They'll take a quarterback, whether it's Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Others, myself included, like if you took self-preservation away from the GM coach decision, I think adding like an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter makes you a better team in 2026. I'm curious what you think the right move is for an organization in their position.
Well, I think for them, it starts with free agency. If they can get a quarterback in free agency, then that question comes in. But also, I think third. Yeah. Tennessee, Cleveland. 2 teams that can conceivably pick a quarterback. Yeah. And right now, as we stand here February 5th, the best 2 quarterbacks are Shedeur and Cam. They could be off the board. So I think they've got to have a plan going to free agency to say, if we can't trade or we can't make a move or both of these quarterbacks on the board, what is our plan?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they've got to be trying to figure that out right now because free agency is getting ready to start here in a month. And I think they've got to go get a quarterback in free agency for nothing else other than insurance plan.
Who would be your preference? So, yesterday, Jameis Winston said to NJ.com that he would love to play for the Giants. He's an interesting option. Maybe you can trade for a Kirk Cousins. Maybe you sign a Sam Darnold. There's several different options out there. Which one would you prefer? Like if you were Brian Dable, Joe Shane, and your job was on the line with what your quarterback room looked like this year, would you try to shoot the moon and give up assets for a Cousins, or call the Rams and see if Matt Stafford can get out of there? Or would you say, no, let's give Jameis the minimum. Let's draft Shador and let's plan for the future.
If I'm wrong, I hate prediction. I'm Joe. There may not be a future. So why not shoot for the moon? Like go try to get a guy whoever that guy is, whoever they see. Don't just settle. Like if I'm gonna go and he's gonna potentially be my last year, hey, let me shoot my shot. You know, it's like seeing the girl in the club, you know, the fine girl in the club. It's like, hey, let me go shoot my shot. You know what I mean? If I miss, but you don't get it unless you shoot your shot. So that's how I see it.
No doubt. No, hey, great analogy. Flipping to the other side of the ball in the Super Bowl, is Mahomes at such an elite level that as a defense, there's only so much you can do? Or do you, as a defensive coach yourself, do you see definitive ways you can not stop him, but slow him down, force him into either a weakness or something he would prefer less to do in high leverage situations?
When you see him, when he's under pressure, he does some unorthodox stuff. So he can be fearless.
That's true.
Now,
switching hands,
doing things like that. But a lot of that stuff's worked out for him. You know what I mean? Like it's unreal because he's the only guy that can do this. You know, you saw Lamar Jackson, who I love, like in the playoff game against Buffalo. You know, all of a sudden he turns the ball over, he's fumbling and different things like that. Mahomes, on the other hand, like he gets away with a bunch of that stuff. But anytime you can put pressure on the quarterback, hit him off the spot, make him move the ball longer, that breaks up his rhythm. But if he's back there, he can hold the ball and throw it in the rhythm, throw it in he's got time to scan the field. You're not going to beat him. You know, he's that good. I mean, he's on some GOAT level stats.
Look at you. You said earlier, like, yeah, you're allowed to curse now, but you said stuff and not shit. See, you're cleaned up already. You're ready to go, you know? All right, I'm bouncing around here a little bit, but it's because there's a lot to talk about around the league. I just saw about 20 minutes ago Myles Garrett walk by here on Radio Row. Where would you like to see him traded if Cleveland offloads him after that trade request? Where do you think is the best and most realistic combination of a team that, like, hey, let's put Myles Garrett here. He has a chance to win. Let's go.
To be honest with you, I don't know. You know, that's something that just actually hit me this morning. I don't know where I've been under a rock the last couple of days. So I just heard about it. When I say this morning, really about 2 hours ago. You know,
Wow.
So I've been under a rock. So
wait, are you one of those people who lives a real life and not on social media?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, Mike. You know what? We need to have coffee and breakfast. You need to tell me what that's like, because this social media runs me.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's
I'm
like,
envious.
like I pick it up when I'm bored, you know, things like that. You know, post when I want something to get out. But that's really me when it comes to social media. I've never been a big social media guy. Obviously, being in the media space, it's a different world. So you want to post, you got to post, you got to do things like that. You
Turn your notifications on, right?
Like, now that's something I don't do. Like that's
I don't
something
either,
do.
but
like phone beeping all the time, like like the world is changing. The media world is changing. We're not boomers where we're looking at the newspaper. Like we get our news off the internet. So that's where things are right now in this media space.
For sure. Having coached at different levels, NFL, you're in the XFL at the time. What do you make of Belichick going to college? A guy like that with that pedigree in the NFL now wearing the Tar Heel blue.
Well, I like to say he can't recruit, but that's obvious false. You know what I mean? Like, he can recruit the best. But I think it'll be. I think it's like a test case to see, because a lot of this is NFL free agency, what's going on in college, guys going to transfer, transfer all of that. So every year you got to rebuild your roster, and you don't know what you're going to have. Similar, like I don't even know if it's similar to the NFL, because okay, this guy's on the contract, this guy's on the contract, this guy's a restricted free agent, this guy is a true free agent. So even that is not all the way true when you say it's getting to the NFL. But I'm really interested to see how it plays over into college football. The guy's been a good football coach, Hall of Famer, and had all the success he has, and at 72 years old, how can he relate to 18, 19, 20-year-old young men and get them to play, get them to do their job.
Right, exactly. can you run that program the same way at that age?
Yeah, 'cause like, be honest, like these kids now, they're chasing women, they're drinking, they're partying. I mean, they got a life too. This is not their job. This is their life. So they got to go to class and do all the other stuff that comes along with it. It's not just football, and that's where he's been the last 40 years of his life.
Yeah, no, good point. Wanted to ask you about this, having also coached special teams yourself, and then working in the XFL and NFL. What did you think of the dynamic kickoff and how it impacted the NFL, because it was experimented with in the XFL before it got to the pros? What did you think of like the implementation in the NFL?
Honestly, I like it because the narrative was they were going to take the play out. So I like it. It keeps the play in, it keeps it alive. And you've had 7 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year compared to 4 last year. So returns are up. According to the data, injuries are down, and that's what they want. So I'm excited about it. I really like the play, and it's different. And I've always said, once the fans get used to the optics of it, that it looks different, it'll be fun.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, that it wasn't almost thought of, I think, by some of the decision makers at first, that you're eliminating a third of the game, right? It was like, yeah, you want it to be safer, but you can't eliminate all these people's livelihoods, the coaches, the players. Like right just before you and I talked here, Brandon Bolden on talking about how he has such a strong bond with like a Jonathan Casillas playing special teams together in New England, because special teamers basically in every meeting together, right? That kind of thing. And those are players that then they go on to play linebacker, running back, and then you find out about them 5 years from now. They're in the Super Bowl making a big play because they proved themselves for 3 years on special teams.
I told somebody the other day, I had Budda Baker in Arizona. He went to the Pro Bowl his rookie year, but he didn't do it in safety. He went to the special teams for it.
Damn, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. So now he's making Pro Bowls every year at safety, but his first Pro Bowl came because he played on special teams. He was a Pro Bowl winner, played on kickoff, he played all the stuff on special teams.
Yeah, interesting. All right, a quick few sponsor segments. First is Here Comes the Boom, brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Lev, which player, non-obvious player, right? So not a Saquon or Mahomes. Which player is going to make the boom impact on this Super Bowl? Chiefs or Eagles, doesn't matter.
Honestly, I think I say not known. Chris Jones is known. You know what I mean? He's probably the most dynamic player on the Chiefs defense. So I'm going to go him, and I'm going to go Jalen Carter. I think it's going to those defensive fronts, like those are 2 of the best defensive tackles in the game, and I think that's where you win football games. You win football games in the playoffs, which are over D-line.
Jalen Carter, I've been joking, but I'm half serious. I feel like this game's going to come down to a Jalen Carter sack of Patrick Mahomes and everyone waiting to see if they throw a flag on it.
Right.
Like that, I feel like that's what it's going to come down to in a close game. All right. Look good, play good, brought to you by Salavetta for Men. Menswear, luxury menswear, and tailoring in Bergen County, New Jersey. They get me right. Usually, Blev, I'm asking people, who was your best dressed teammate or best dressed coach? Sounds like it's you.
Absolutely.
But if you had like a teammate in your career, or maybe another coach you worked with, or a player that you coached, who jumps out to you when I say, man, this guy always looked good on game day?
That's a good one. Coaches are pretty plain, Jack.
That's right.
Like they're pretty simple.
Or any of the players that you coached, like when you were in Arizona or the Giants, is there ever a guy who just clearly spent too much money on his clothes but looked like correct on Sunday?
When I was in Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald was always
cool. Ooh, yeah.
Patrick Peterson was always dressed to the T. So it's a bunch of players. They spend money on the clothes and get the tailor-made suits and all that. Coaches, we don't make that type of money, so we're straight off the rack.
You got the team issued stuff,
yeah.
Right? No doubt. All right. And finally, Pat's Picks brought to you by MyBookie Sportsbook. Lev, the question is simple. Who's going to win the game and why?
I really think it could go either way, but whoever has the ball last will win the game. It's going to be that close of a game where whoever has the ball last. And obviously, if you're Philly, you do not want to hold that ball.
No, you do not. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's that. You know, like I know that's kind of avoiding the question. You know, but I do think
You don't want to pick. I got it.
Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth. I'm pleading the fifth. But if I have my choice of my favorite, I'm a Saquon. You know, like I like Saquon, so I would like Saquon to win the championship. I think he's a phenomenal person. You know, like we see the talent in the field.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is how good of a person he is, how good he was for the locker room and for that organization. So I'm a Saquon fan to the day he retires. So I'm doing for Saquon.
How ridiculous. I don't know if we talked about this, but how ridiculous was his backwards hurdle over that corner?
It's like some video game stuff. Like as a human being, you're not supposed to be able to jump over somebody. First of all, going forward, which he does all the time, and then like it's like okay, I'm gonna show you guys something better. Like, I'm gonna jump over backwards. I mean, it's like some Simone Biles type stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. Like an Olympian.
Yeah, Olympian. Like I'm going for the gold right here. So it's like that move is it's stupid. Like do not try it at home. Like do not. Like parents, do not let your kids try that. You will be in the emergency room all night. Please don't.
So great, so great. He is Dr. Anthony Blevins, NFL coach, XFL coach, former player, rising media star, looks the part, of course. We are brought to you here on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, Salaretta for Men in Bergen County, New Jersey, Estate 98 Coffee, and My Bookie Sportsbook. And Blev, for being such a special guest, free bag of Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Anti-inflammatory, immune, antioxidants are healthy compounds. It's great. You can pour it in your coffee every morning like I do, tea, water, whatever. But thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you. I'm going to try some of this tonight.
Let's go.